What is going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask and go deep behind the veil and give you this week's astrological forecast for the week of April 27th through May the 3rd of 2016. And I gotta remind everybody, I'm doing a big webinar about this 5-planet retrograde that starts literally on Thursday. The webinar is going to be on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can register now at inclusiveastrology.com, and I wanna make a quick reminder, there's only 200 spots available. And you got to remember that we haven't had 5 planets retrograde in about a decade. And of course, if you want to get my daily horoscopes on the app, all daily video horoscopes, not only for all 12 sun sign horoscopes, but we also do the tarot videos, the weekly intuitive, and I do push notifications to your phone about the astrology every day. Make sure that you get it now at the leokingapp.com, or you can get it at the Apple iTunes Store, or you can get it at the Google Play Store for Android. Now, what a week we are at. It's Mercury Retrograde, and add that one to the tally of a 5th planet retrograde. And of course, we just got to say, it's Mercury Retrograde time. Anything can happen, folks. Back up your computers, get your communication going. Also, this is a time of like really powerful receiving, and I think that there's a lot to look at in our life. I think that we have reached the edge of the universe when it comes to what we can push for in our life. We are at a time now to receive. It is time to receive. It is time to take in the things in our life that we want. And this is a very powerful Mercury retrograde because this one is happening with a powerful sextile to Chiron. Look at your life and see that the universe is bringing things to heal you right now. Believe it or not, it is happening right now. Especially relationship-wise, this is a powerful week because Venus is going to change out of Aries, where it's at its detriment, not its best position, and move into its home sign of Taurus, while it opposes Black Moon Lilith at the edge of Libra. So this is going to be about major shifts in relationships in our life, really when it comes to also how we identify ourselves and how do we come into, finding a way to come into relationships with not losing ourselves completely. So this is going to be very powerful. This is also going to be major shifts in your relationship life. And if you're in existing relationships, whether it's business, personal, love, this is a major shift point in having to take it up to the next level. And I think there's going to be a lot of uncomfort no matter what, whether you're coming into a new relationship, you're working on an old one, whether it's business, personal, or love. The reason why there's going to be a 3/4 square of the moon in Aquarius this week that's going to square all this energy. It's going to square Mercury retrograde. It's going to square the sun. It's going to square Venus and Taurus. It's really going to make some really interesting aspects to have you open up. Taurus is not a sign that likes to open up. Taurus is always like, no, I've got things the way I want it to be. That stubborn bull does not like to move much. And Aquarius is like trying to bring you to heaven, and it's going to ask you to make crazy moves. It's going to ask you to bring in new things. It's going to ask you to bring new dots to connect to in your life. And I think especially when you're seeing this relationship aspect of Black Moon Lilith opposed Venus, Venus moving out of Aries and moving into Taurus, I think a lot's going to be asked of you in this week to bring new energy in, new relationships in, new people in, or new ways for your relationships to come up to another ladder. And believe it or not, this is here to heal you. And I think the only way to heal yourself right now is to understand that you need to learn to let go, that you need to learn to let the past failures go. This is going to come up with kind of realizing that, hey, maybe the past failures were for a reason. That they were for a reason that God had, that they were for a reason that, you had no control over. One thing about Chiron and Pisces is it teaches you that no, you weren't given a shitty hand. I'm sorry to say. Sometimes the reason why you were given that shitty hand is because there's a better hand that's going to come after it. And God wanted to give you it at that time. And I think that there's a big realization that needs to come about this Mercury retrograde, and especially this week. Especially when you look at this astrology, we are going to be 5 planets retrograde until May 9th. May 9th is when Jupiter comes direct. And when you look at this astrology this week, and when you look at Mercury retrograde, and you look at the Sun and the quincunx Mars retrograde, this is really focusing on how we are redirecting our lives right now in a very weird way. We're going to have to take those stubborn aspects of ourselves and learn to open up in ways we haven't. And in even deeper sense, if you look at whatever happened into your life from July into September of 2015, when Jupiter and Saturn squared, when Saturn went into Sagittarius, when Venus retrograded and got out of that situation, and that was a very powerful, crazy time. This is where Mars is retrograding. It's retrograding where Saturn was during that time period. And so we are cutting out all of the energy that we haven't been able to fully erase. I called it, if you've been watching my Uncuts, I said this weeks ago, there's been this old zombie persona soul of ourselves following us from the past, and especially from the past couple years of Saturn in Scorpio, right? That hasn't been fully cut away. And this is where things are starting to begin the process. The surgery is being done right now, folks. We are all under surgery from God, okay? We are all on the table having to receive, and we can't get up, you know? It's almost like we're under, you know, once Neptune goes direct, I think the anesthesia begins. But it's like, you know, we're kind of awake through this moment where everything is set up for us to cut out the problems, to cut out the, you know, if you want to look at this on a deep level, this is where you really see chapters on the largest scale of your life change to whole entire new ones, where you really finally start to see how everything is going to string together the right way, where new relationships enter your life, existing ones move to a whole different new level in place. Business moves to a whole new degree. And I think when you look at your life at this week, you're going to notice that this is one of those most major shift points. And the reason why is it is 5 planets retrograde. It is a Mercury retrograde with it sextiling over to Chiron. It is a big 3/4 square of the moon in Aquarius, asking you to bring new things, even though you're kind of in a place where you're not ready to maybe, and you're going to have to open up to that. It is with a black moon Lilith opposing Venus. It is saying, hey, you know, there is this deeper yearning for partnership, for more of a harmony in life. And you know what? You're going to have to get your own values of your own ego out of the way a little bit. And I think this is asking, like, hey, in relationships and all of them, like, you can get what you want and still have a partnership. Like, this isn't about losing yourself in a partnership where you don't lose yourself. So there's like this like perfect balance that we're having to find here, but this doesn't mean don't enter. This doesn't mean be afraid. Especially a lot of people say don't do anything in a Mercury retrograde, don't do anything in a Mars retrograde, don't do anything in a Jupiter retrograde, don't do anything in a Saturn retrograde, don't do anything in a freaking Pluto retrograde. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is kind of the time where you notice things are received, and you're going to notice it's with energy that has come before in your life. Now, if it's somebody new that you've never met in your life, or if it's something new that you've never like heard of before, you know, I would question it. But if there is a connection to the past in any of the situations that are going to come up through all these retrogrades, it's received. You know it's part of something that you've already been forward on the record with in your life. And I think that you need to realize that. So I want to put that out there for people, that this is definitely not a normal Mercury retrograde, that this one is coming at a time where everything is much, much different, much more intense, much more of a karmic cycle. This is really extreme karmic relationships happening because of this Black Moon Lilith Venus opposition, because of this powerful 5 planets retrograde. And this is going to be very important to pay attention to. This is also going to be a week where the sun is going to sextile over to Neptune. It's going to trine over to Jupiter. So I think that we're ending the week on a big bang. And it's going to be a little crazy because the moon's going to tap into the T-square of Jupiter, Neptune, and Saturn. But I think what you're going to notice is that there is a lot of emotional, I don't want to say turmoil or turbulence, but all over the place energy. But the sun is showing that there's extremely beautiful new aspects that the universe is bringing you right now. And you know, Taurus is one of the most beautiful signs. It rules the garden, it rules the flowers. And when you mix that with a lot of Pisces, which we're going to see by Monday, we're going to literally see 3 energies in Pisces, and we're going to see 3 energies in Taurus. You're literally dealing with 6 of the 9 out of the, you know, in these signs. And there's a spiritual beauty that is going to be created in your life, you know, and it's going to be kind of hairy that there's so much stuff happening right now, and you're having to bring new things in, but go with it. This week is about going with it, even though it might seem scary, even though you might feel like, you know what, I don't know if I'm ready to move into this new energy. I'm kind of like not ready. It's like, no, this is the time. The 5 planets are here retrograding. The waves are showing up. This is where you take the waves. You ride these waves because you know what? It's like a sailboat. Like, you know what? The winds are up. Have you ever seen Master and Commander where they run out of wind and he has to wait out there for like 2 months out in the middle of nowhere and they almost run out of food and almost die? Like, this is where it's like, this is the stuff you ride and you take right now. And I think that this is a beautiful moment, and this is about healing your life. This Mercury retrograde, healing your life. Finding ways to ascend, bringing in relationships, existing, new ones, so forth, to raise your vibration to a higher level, to bring you to more betterness in your life. This is a time in your life when you got to realize that the past is the past, and that there is no failures that are going to affect you anymore. And I think on an even like grander scale, Venus in Taurus is going to show you the good life with the sun here, and especially with a Mercury retrograde here, and we're going to have a Mercury retrograde come over all this, you know, you got to realize like we're about like starting to see that we can have a better life, that we can have a greater life, more one that has spiritual and imaginative and beauty in it. And believe it or not, I think that this is a time period where that's going to all happen. And I think that you need to go with it. The only, you know, negative is I think Jupiter is kind of reminding people when he turns back on May 9th is that, you know, there is a reality. But I think what you're going to realize is over the next couple weeks here, we're about to build some crazy Disneylands in all of our life and some crazy relationships and some crazy things that almost seemed like impossible. But they are somehow possible during this moment. And so take this window. Take this opportunity. This is a time for you to not let your self-worries or your doubts or your fears affect you. Accept what's coming in from the universe right now and ride it and see how far this will go. I think it's important for that because when Jupiter does turn on, you're going to notice reality comes back on. And sometimes maybe you want reality to come back on while you're in the best of dreams. And when you have created something from a beautiful and spiritual place of what you have received. So before that light switch comes on, because you got to remember, Virgo is a sign of reality. Whenever you turn Virgo on, it's like, you're on, you know? And I think that, you know, you're up, you know, you're in reality. And I think that there's this reality awakening that's going to be taking place over here in the next couple weeks. But before then, this period now until May 9th is giving us a moment to really kind of mold and flex and play with our realities and take in more of the good stuff, take in more of the beauty, take in things that you never thought were possible, take in compassion, take in finding ways to heal ourselves, take in the beauty of great things. I mean, Sun is trining Jupiter this week, folks. This is a Sun-Jupiter day with 5 planets retrograde. Sure, it might not be the most greatest of all Sun-Jupiter days in the world. But you know what? This is the last time we had a Sun-Jupiter with any energy in Taurus was back in 2011. And I can tell you, when we had Sun-Jupiter and positivity in 2011, there were amazing things that happened in people's lives. Amazing. I mean, it was overwhelming. And so I think that you need to look back to your life and what happened in 2011, especially follow when Jupiter came into Taurus in 2011 into 12. And there was some really powerful things that came forward. And I think that you're going to have to realize that this week there is a lot of that same kind of zing and beauty and positivity and creation and things coming forward now this week. And I think that you're going to notice that this is going to be a week where there's really just the golden opportunity to feel like you can have dreams you never thought possible. You can have things that can heal you. You can have things while we're in the middle of this surgery that are finally going to start clearing out, man, years and years of craziness that we all never thought we could get out of. And that's what this week is really starting to bring forward and all about. The only triggers really are this week, there's going to be some crazy aspects to the moon when the sun is sextiling Neptune. That's going to be on Monday. So be prepared. Sunday into Monday, you know, might be a little all over the place and a little crazy. Things really settle down, I think. Once we come into Tuesday and we get ready for the new moon, that'll be next week, which will be a very interesting new moon happening while there's 5 planets retrograde. So that'll be what we'll be talking about next week. But overall, I think this is going to be a wonderful week. I think that this is going to be a rare week. I think this is going to be a magical week. And I think this is going to be a week where take what is in front of you right now. This is a time about taking it, absorbing it, bringing it in, and appreciating it. You know, Taurus is about appreciating it. This is where you smell the flowers. This is where, you know, you feel that soft skin. You touch that soft skin. If you have the better sheets, put them on. If you have silver china, bring it out. This is the time. You know, this isn't a time to pinch. And I think we've been living in such. I'm just going to open up on the most raw spiritual channeled level here. We have all been living in such depleted spiritual, emotional darkness, and it's time to bring that light back into our lives. And this happening in Taurus like this, and this happening with all these events this week, with the Black Moon, Lilith, and Venus, and with this the Aquarian energy to come in and help us disrupt and bring more greatness into our life. I say this from the bottom of my heart and from all the truth I have in my soul, that this is a time for you to step out of darkness that you have been in through years with, and finally bring some light in your life. And it's whether or not you're going to have a phobia of not allowing that into your life or not, or whether you finally will let that light in this week. Thank you so much. Please join me for my webinar to go deeper into how this is going to affect everything until the summer, which will be on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, get me on the app if you want to get me every day. Please subscribe here to my YouTube channel if you want to watch all my YouTube videos. I truly appreciate it. Starting next week in Orange County, I am starting a residency at Heat Night Club. It's going to be an awesome Thursday night show that I am running every Thursday. So if you're ever in the Orange County or LA area, live music every Thursday. I'm starting that coming up soon. Anyway, sending you all great love and light. I'm wishing you the best. I hope I hope that this message was validated through wherever it feels in your soul. And if it did, thank you so much. And I appreciate all the support. And I will see you on the next Uncut.